First of all, I want to ask a couple of you a few things from last time. If you were here yesterday, I want to give you a little bit of review. So here's the three things. Here's the three things we covered yesterday. Number one, using Area 47 to make openings that seem unrelated to your topic. Don't worry, you don't have to have been here yesterday to do today. The second thing, remember this sentence. If you ever want to summarize your presentation, use this formula. Can anyone tell me what the secret was to the action? There's something you have to do with this action. Anyone remember? Just turn on your microphone. Just turn on your mic.
Just make it specific.
Yes, 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 and yes, and double yes. The action has to be specific enough that someone can agree or disagree. If you go into your DECA one-on-one, all you have to, and you say like, it's really important that we make sure that we keep a close eye on our costs, because I think controlling our costs will be the best way for us to continue to have a balance sheet that is positive. That seems like information, but it's the illusion of information. It's businessese, because what do you mean by controlling cost? Versus saying something like this, saying something like, the best way for us to control our costs is to make sure that we hire contract workers, and we have like a group of like 20 to 30 contract workers that can be on call. You may agree or disagree with that, but that's the importance of being specific, because either way, you'll get my attention. And the last thing was transitioning using questions. That was the big one, transitioning using questions. Why am I telling you this? Why is it important? Because every time you do that, it re-engages someone. Now, show of hands, just on camera here, show of hands. How many of you snowboard? One-ish? Just one? Okay. Does anyone ski? Same thing. Okay, so Justin, let me pick on you for a minute then, bro. What's like there's an overlap between skiing and snowboarding, right? But they're different.
Yeah.
Could you take what you learned from skiing and kind of start applying it to snowboarding? Not like to be perfect at it, but to learn it?
Yeah, for sure.
That's what today's going to be like. So today, the Area 47 opening, the goal opportunity statement, the question transitions, those are tools. Today, we're going to take the same kind of concepts and package them in a different way and use what-if stories to pitch ideas. Now, here's the thing. The goal of a story is not to inform people. If you go and look at the research, at the neuroscience research, when someone remembers a story that someone told them, you know what part of their brain lights up? The experience centers over here, as if they had lived it. So the goal of a good story is not to make people understand an idea, it's to make people relive your moment. And I know, it sounds really cheesy. How do we do that? There is a formula. And there's one of many ways. Here's the first way. Here's what I want you to think. Can everyone write this down? Write this down somewhere. I want you to write down the following statements. I want you to write problem equals 2. Problem equals 2 to 3. I want you to write problem equals 2 to 3. Okay? Then, in the line below it, I want you to write this. Can you look in the chat? Then you're going to write what if, and then you're going to write solution equals 2 to 3. Problem equals 2 to 3. What if? Solution equals 2 to 3. A problem, you state it in a 2 to 3 sentence story. Then you literally say what if. Then you say the solution in 2 to 3 sentences, and that can be in third person. Let me give you 2 examples from real pitches. Does anyone here listen to podcasts? Show of hands. Anyone here listen to podcasts? A little bit? Justin, just you and me, a little Olivia, a little bit Emma, and a little bit Rizwan? Okay. There's a podcast called The Pitch. And it's like Dragon's Den, but way less sensationalist. It is like hardcore. Like it's one person for like 30 minutes. And they ask questions about their financials, about market. It's super interesting if you're into that kind of stuff. And there was one thing I was noticing with all these successful pitches, the ones that won, they all had good what if stories. And let me give you two real successful pitches. I went and I dictated these. So this is word for word what they were saying. I'm going to read it to you. So here's the first one. Okay? I'm going to read you this one, okay? She said, a few years ago, I started making some good money. And I decided I was going to treat myself and I was going to go to the mall and buy like a really nice trench coat from like a fancy European brand. That day, I went into 5 different stores and I couldn't give my money away. Because it turns out that I'm too short and I'm too fat for high-end fashion. But here's the thing. I'm 5'2", so I'm like the average of all women. And I'm a size 18, so I am 60% of all women. But I can't buy a high-end trench coat? So what if, instead of buying the coat, I could just buy the design and 3D print it at home? Kind of gets you curious, huh? With the what if? Here's another one. I'm a huge scuba diving fanatic. And a few years ago, I was scuba diving and I got my scuba diving certification and I was wearing my hair natural. So I went back to the hotel and I forgot to bring any of my products. So I just used what the hotel had. Thing is, they don't have anything for African American hair. And my hair was so knotted up after the shower that I had to get it cut. But what if every hotel had products for people of all hair types? I'm a Class A truck driver, and last Christmas, my daughter asked me if I'd be home for Christmas, and I had to leave. I couldn't look her in the eye because I knew the answer was no. Because there's no way for a truck driver to find a sub. But what if there was an app like Uber? Instead of finding rides, you could find people to ride your truck. That was the first 10 or 15 seconds of their pitches with these what if stories. Now, let me ask you a question. Can everyone do me a favor right now? Open up another window. Everyone open up another window. And I want you to research for me. How long is the average person's attention span right now? In the chat, can you put it in? And I'd love to see everyone putting it in. How long is the average person's attention span, like roughly nowadays? See if you can find it for me. Go. And whatever you find, you can put it in. Yeah, for now, if you could please turn your cameras on, that would be really great. Thank you. Don't worry. The reason we want to turn our cameras on right now is because you're going to go into a breakout room in a minute, and I want you to be able to talk to each other. So I got 12 seconds. 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. Okay, everyone's finding roughly 12 seconds? Okay, good. A secondary question. Oh, wait, 15 years ago, it dropped. Really? What happened 15 years ago? Now, Rizwan, can I borrow you for a second, good sir? Could you turn on your mic for me, good sir?
Yep.
Rizwan, I was going to say, like, were you surprised that it's 12 seconds? And did you think it was going to be shorter or longer?
No, I was not surprised.
Yeah?
I was going to think a bit shorter, but 12 seconds is it gets ballparking, so.
Dude, the amount of rage I feel if if an app on my phone doesn't refresh in like 2 seconds is it's insane. Somebody's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh come on, like it's like that.
Yeah.
So if we don't get them in less than 12 seconds, we're not gonna get them. Yo, just right now, you all looked at a page, right? Have you ever done this? Like, and Rizwan, you're off the hook. You can mute yourself again now. That's it. I just want to talk to you for a second. You know when you go to a web page and you're searching for something, you click the first link, it's not what you want, you push the back button. How long does it take you to push the back button? Just in the chat. You go on a website, you click the link, nah, that's not it, you push the back button. How long did that take? For each of you, just give me your answers in the chat, please. 3 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a couple of seconds, 4 to 5, yeah. 7, 2 to 3. Yeah. So if I can't get you, forget 12 seconds. If some of you, if I can't get you within 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 seconds, I'm not going to get you. Now imagine a DECA judge, and I know we're not doing this specifically for DECA, but if you've ever done DECA, you have to have a one-on-one. Imagine that DECA judge, you're the 10th person they've had to talk to today. What if, and this is what most people do. Well, sir, thank you very much for seeing me today. I've taken a look at some of the financials that we have, and I think I have some good ideas for how we can better accommodate certain issues within our organization. And none of you are listening to me. I literally saw you guys tune me out. I saw, dude, Preeti, Preeti, I literally saw you kind of go away for a minute. He was like, yeah, yeah, like just like we're in class between us, right? But you're the one person that goes like this. So last week, and then you tell this story, and then you say, but what if? And then you present the solution, and then you say, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. You get them. So here's what's about to happen. Keaton, everyone's about to go into a breakout room, okay? Here's what I want you all to do. I'm going to give you a few scenarios, okay? You will have to make a what if story as a group based on this scenario. And when we come back, I'm going to choose a few people to do it with us. I know. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. We're going to do one together. Then you're going to go into breakout rooms, okay? So first of all, let me share this. Okay, so here's one we're going to do together, everybody. And for this one, I'm going to keep it up here. So turn your mics on. Turn your mics on, please. Turn your mics on. When you're ready to speak. You don't have to do it right now, but when you're ready to speak. So suppose we're doing a case, and it's by leasing instead of purchasing a packing machine, we can recover 20% of the total cost through tax credit. So the case was all about, should we buy this machine outright and amortize it over time? Like, should we just buy it? Or should we just lease it? Should you buy a BMW right now, or should you lease a BMW? Leasing is like renting to own, for anyone that doesn't know. You don't actually own it, but you pay a monthly or annual fee, and over time, you've paid so much money towards this thing that you end up owning it over time. But up until that point, you don't own it. So let's suppose this is our thing, okay? We have to think of a first-person story about it's better to rent than to own. It's better to rent than to own. And it has to be first person. My friends, look at me. Nobody cares what other people do or what other people think you should do. An anecdote is not evidence. A personal story is not evidence, but it is more convincing than evidence. There's not a person in this room who hasn't tried some sort of health food just because you heard it once. Everyone thinks kale is good for them. Really? Why? None of us, I don't know, but I just know it's good for me. Why? Because somebody told me once. An anecdote is not evidence, but it is more convincing than evidence. So right now, does anyone here have an anecdote about renting something and they wish they wish they hadn't have bought something and rented it instead? Does anyone have one? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. Nothing? Okay. Fine, I will give you one more then. So, Olivia, suppose you're the person you're the DECA judge, right? And I don't know if you've done DECA. Have you done DECA before?
I have, but I've only done writtens.
Okay, cool. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So suppose you're the DECA judge and we're meeting for the first time, right? And we do the hi, how are you? Nice to meet you and everything like that. And then it's up to me, right? So say maybe give me a little thing. So tell me a little bit about what we should do or something. Give me a little you're the judge telling me should we buy or own something like that?
I don't know.
Just say it's nice to meet you, Man. So tell me, what should we be doing with our packing machine? Something like that.
Okay, it's nice to meet you, Yvonne. What should we be doing with our packaging equipment? Buying or renting?
Well, so Olivia, I'm not sure if you've ever bought anything from Amazon.
No.
No? Okay. About a year ago, I bought an iPad mini, full out from Amazon. And it cost me about $400. And within about a week, I dropped it down a flight of stairs and it shattered. It shattered, the glass shattered. And that's $400 down the drain. And I kept thinking to myself, you know, what if I could have just traded it in for a new one and paid more over time? Like, what if I was just renting that and I could have exchanged it for a new one? Luckily, Amazon does that. I returned it, they gave me a new one. And that's the beauty, I think, of leasing instead of purchasing, that it removes the risk if something happens with the manufacturing machine. Something like that. You see how I used the first person story, then I said, what if? And then I went to the solution. My friends, everyone get your cameras out. Get your phone or do screenshot. Get your phone ready and do screenshot. I'm about to show you a couple of different scenarios. You're going to go into a breakout room. You are going to have to make one of these scenarios, okay? You got to give me a little what if story for one of these scenarios, okay? Get ready. So here's the first one. This is from Urban Planet. It's better to bundle like 4 to 5 products and give a wholesale price versus putting things on sale. Bundling instead of marking down products will allow us to sell 4 times more inventory. So you got to think of a what if story that makes buying 5 things better than buying 1 at a discount. Or creating a new convention center in whatever town you're in right now, in Barrie, in Hamilton, in, I don't know where, in all of Ontario, whatever it is. You got to do a little what if story for that, okay? You got to do a what if story for that. Or, here's the last one. Creating a farm-to-table brunch can relaunch Anthony's and expand its weekend day business by almost 1,000 people per month. So you got to tell me a little what-if story about an experience you had going to like a super organic farm-to-table restaurant. And I know it's hard to think about it. Like, if I was going to ask, Justin, man, what's your favorite movie? Right? You'd be like, I don't know. In an hour from now, you'd be like, Conan the Barbarian. But in the moment, it's hard to think of things, so you can make something up a little bit between you and us, okay? So in a moment, you're going to go into the breakout room. Listen, for all my friends that are here, please turn on your cameras. When we come back, I'll let you turn your cameras off. But when you're in the breakout room, you need to communicate with people, okay? So try and do this activity. I will give you 5 minutes, and then after we come back, I'll pick someone to do a couple of what-if stories, and then I'll give you some best practices and how to tell a really good story. And I will show you a time that I did a story slam in Miami to show you me applying the stories. Si vous voulez, just if you want. Okay, Keaton, take them away. Have fun, everybody. If you don't get the pop-up, you're supposed to get a pop-up, and you have to accept going into the breakout room. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Does anyone want to try and give us a what-if story? Wait, I saw Emma first, and then I saw Akash. Those were the two I saw. So Emma, let's get you first. Can we put Emma on stage? Keaton?
My group wanted to do it together.
Oh, cool. Everyone in. Okay, who else is in the group? Was it Akash? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was me, Akash, Emma, and I think it was Pootfish as well.
Okay. Was that Ronith?
So we all
Okay,
split it up into parts.
All right. In that case, so it was Ronith. You know what? For the sake of time, don't worry. We'll keep it all in grid view. Or if you all want to change your view to speaker view, I think. Is there no? Don't even worry about it. We'll just keep it like this. Why don't you all take it away? Everybody in the chat, my friends in the chat, because we can't see everybody. Instead of applause, can you all give me your best gibberish? Give me your best gibberish. The more gibberish you give, the louder the applause. There we go. That's how you're going to show the love to these amazing volunteers. There's the love. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. There's the love. All right. Take it away, my friends.
Right. So one day, me and my family, it was a Saturday afternoon, and we decided to go to Taco Bell for lunch. And at Taco Bell, I ordered, tacos with a side of fries. It's the most popular meal there. And, I had it. It tasted good momentarily, but, the next day, I was in my washroom for 3 hours, and it was a war zone.
So what if I knew exactly what I was putting into my body so this situation never happens again?
Introducing a revolutionary restaurant like Anthony's, where it's a farm-to-table brunch experience where you can see exactly what you're going to eat before you actually eat it.
So, we're farm food, not fast food.
Yo, let's get some applause. Let's get some applause. I loved it. So here's what I loved about that. The first person, I was going to Taco Bell. I was there with my family. I had like the super grande large burrito, extra spicy. I thought it was very funny. It was very funny. And then the what if was really great. Now, the only thing we need to do is in the solution afterward, make that into a story instead of a sales pitch. So instead of saying introducing da da da, Akash, what did you say? Introducing.
Oh, I said introducing a revolutionary restaurant like Anthony's, where it's a farm-to-table brunch experience where you can see exactly what you're gonna eat before you actually eat it.
So just take out that first part. So what if when we go to Anthony's, we know exactly what's in each dish? We know where the egg came from. We know where the butter came from because there's a cow in the back. And I can go and look at it. Keep it in that first person because that'll just enhance the message. Bravo, bravo, bravo. I love that. That was so good. Now listen, how does that work in conjunction with what we learned yesterday? It's up to you. Remember Batman. Remember Batman. Utility belt. Sometimes the batarang, sometimes a smoke bomb, sometimes the ropey thing he uses. Whatever that is, whatever combination is up to you. These are tools, not rules. Now, let me give you all a couple of little extra things you can do when you're telling the story. Let's see. Rizwan, what was your story all about again?
For the pitch, what it
Yes.
was, it was the creating a farm to table brunch one.
That one's okay. You did that one too. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me highlight something that we could have done. Okay. And Rizwan, can you, while I'm doing this, can you tell us a little bit from your? Don't worry, it doesn't have to be super good or whatever. Just in a few sentences, what was the pitch? Like, what was the first person problem? The
Yeah.
first part.
Sure. So we came up with something called, so we said this. Um, Today I woke up at 12 p.m. because I was playing video games last night with my friends, and I
Okay.
forgot to eat breakfast. So I had to go to work too, but I didn't want to make anything complicated. So what if on the way I saw a restaurant that was like heaven to me where I could do everything and one and not cause any more problems? And something like a restaurant like Anthony's exactly does serves that purpose. So around those lines.
All right. That's good. That's good. Cool. Now, when you are telling that story, there are things before the what if and after the what if that we can use to make us more impactful. First off, for everyone, cameras on. For everyone with their cameras on, we're going to play a little game. Everyone in audio, everyone in audio. I love that Cash was like, okay, here we go. I love that. So everyone in audio, play along if you can. Okay. So we're going to play a little game of Simon Says. Remember Simon Says? Simon Says do something, you do it. And if I say do something without Simon Says, you don't do it, right? So if you understand Simon Says, just give me a thumbs up on camera so I know you understand. But Simon did not say you're all terrible at this game. I think it was it Justin was the only one? Keaton, did I get you there?
You got me.
All right. Okay. So now we're going to play for real. All right. So Simon Says put your hands on one side. Now, if you are having to go like this, like you're raising the roof, it means you're too close to the camera because you want to talk normally. You see, some of you are like this, right? When you are presenting, remember, so much of communication is nonverbal. So go over here like this, low. If you can't see your hands, now you know that you're too close to the camera, and when you actually have to present for real, back up. But just for fun, Simon Says go on the other side. Okay, now just the other hand. Simon did not say. Simon did not say. You guys are terrible at this game. Okay, Simon Says the game's over. Okay, relax, relax. So one of the best ways to tell a really good story, to have good nonverbal communication, is through mimicking. Not acting things out, but just a little hint of actions. Let me show you. Let me show you. So I'm standing on a cliff and I'm just looking down at like 10 stories. That's it. There's this wall right here. That's it. The next day, I'm like running to the bathroom. That's it. So every time I drive by, I look over. That's it. Those little tiny things makes people imagine. So a good storyteller has mimics. Here's some other good storytelling tactics. Because remember, the goal is not to inform. The goal is to make someone relive the experience. So here, can everyone write these questions down for me, please? Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Don't worry, we're not playing the game. Just write that down. Let me know when you got it. Okay, please write this question down. When you are telling a good story, every few sentences, throw out one of these two questions, and it makes people like empathize. It puts people in the situation. I mean, what would you do? So the next morning, right, you wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And you feel like that way for the whole day, but you got to go to work. What would you do? What if, and then you get into it. You see? I've put you in that position. Here's the next tactic. Good stories seem to have parts that are unrelated and then slowly become related. And I'm going to show you a story and I'll give you an example of that in a minute, okay? And the last thing I want to tell you about stories, just for the sake of time, there's tons of
Yvonne, you're on mute.
Have you not been hearing me the whole time?
No, you're good. It's just that last 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, if I've been on mute for 5 minutes and no one said anything, I'm a terrible presenter. Because everyone's like, yeah, Yvonne, you're doing great. How long should you pause for? And when? Justin. Mike. Justin, microphone.
Seconds and after you ask a question.
For a couple of 2 to 3 seconds after you ask the questions. So what would you do? And then you keep going. Silence, and then let me add something else. Try and have a pause. Try and have 2 to 3 seconds of silence every 4 to 5 sentences. To give information a chance to go from short-term to long-term memory. If I pause every 4 to 5 seconds, you're going to think about that for a little bit before I move to the next thing. Now, I'm not going to show you this to brag or anything like that. I'm just kind of doing this to put myself out there. So I'm trying to teach you all these ways to tell a good story, but how do you know I can tell a good story? How do you know this actually works in the real world? I was emceeing a party cruise in Miami. So there was a cruise that was going around. Yeah, it was going to like Dominican and back over 5 days, and I was the MC. I was the guy that's like, get your hands up. Like that's my other job that I do. And then I stuck around Miami for like a week afterward, but I was like, no more party. So I ended up going to this thing called the Moth Story Slam. This is like, it's like TED Talks, but normal people, and they tell personal stories. So I get into the place, right? And it's this big old theater. There's like 100 people there, and they're like, hey, do you want to volunteer? We're doing names out of a hat tonight. And I'm like, no. And they're like, we don't have a lot of names. Could you please volunteer? Do you want to volunteer? And I'm like, no, there's no way. I'm like, I'm totally not prepared for this. And then I thought, aren't I supposed to be like a communications, public speaking guy? Like, shouldn't I do it? So I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. I put my name in the hat. 10 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not me. I'm like, the odds of it being the 10th person, there's no way. They call the 10th person. It's not me. But the 10th person was not there. They take the 11th person out. It's me. And I'm going to show you the first 5 minutes of this story so you can see the tactics in action, okay? Now, it might be hard to hear. This is the person who was just sitting next to me. He was like, hey, do you want me to record this? And I said, sure. This is me actually telling a story in Miami at a Moth Story Slam. And the first thing I said is, this is how I started it. I want to tell you the story about how a man named Javier changed my life. That's the first sentence in case you don't hear it, because it starts off right away. Does everyone see the little like phone screen? Okay, here it is.
Yeah.
Name Javier changed my life. By applause, how many people here are like kids of immigrants?
So, do you remember how I said a story needs to start off with things that are unrelated? Here's what I started off with. I want to tell you the story about how a man named Javier changed my life, and then I asked people if they were kids of immigrants. Well, how are those things related? That's what you'll find out.
How many people here are Canadian? Just me. I'm actually just passing through town. I came to Canada when I was like 4 years old from Colombia. And in
In that moment, I probably could have paused a little bit more. But I tried to have a pause there to kind of let that sit for a minute to create that dramatic tension, you see?
How do you identify with like whatever your background is?
Watch the question. Watch the question.
And you have family back home. What happens when you forget the language and you never see that family for long? So flash.
Did you hear that, by the way? Did you hear that? That after I asked the question and paused, that was just random people going, yep, because it put them in that position. That's why you ask that question and wait 2 seconds.
Like 12 years later, and I'm back in Colombia for the first time. My family are like vague memories and kind of like strangers. And this amazing island called San Andres. It's like 3 hours to drive around it. The water's like super white, it's like super sexy. And I miss the whole until I see Javier.
Ah, so now I go back to Javier. You see that first chunk? Now I'm putting it back in over here. And we still don't know. And I'm starting to make the connections. And I'll just play you this last little part.
And Javier walked into a room like this.
I'm going to mimic here. I'm going to mimic.
And I'm like, man, Javier. And I'm like, where does this guy get this confidence? He's got this long Jericho mullet shaved on the sides. And then I saw him dance salsa with 2 girls at the same time while having a conversation with a friend.
So notice something. Now I'm introducing salsa. So it's another chunk. My friends, if you remember anything, uncertainty equals interest. When you're telling a story, put in all these different chunks. Because every time you do, the audience is going to go like this, well, what does that have to do with immigrant parents? What does dancing have to do with immigrant? I think maybe I might not, I'm not sure. Because these little chunks, and look, every movie you watch does this. Every good movie has these parts, and you're like, how are they all going to come together in the end? And that's some best practices to stories. So imagine if you come in there and everyone else is like super formal. Good day, sir. Today I would like to talk to you the benefits of our organization and why I'm passionate about actuary and statistical analysis. And you're like, no, you're not. And you're the last person, and you come in there, and it's like, so the other day I went to Taco Bell. Right away, the person's going to go like this. I'm sorry? And we got them. And that's another way you become a more effective speaker. Now, in the last minute, I'll stay around if anyone wants to stick around and ask me questions, and I'll put my LinkedIn and my IG in the bottom in case you want to connect with me. But let me end with an inspirational quote. Can everyone please take a moment and read this for me? 99% of the population is afraid of speaking. Of the remaining 1%, 99% have nothing interesting or original to say. Using what if stories is just an easy way for you to be original. And with that, my friends, I want to say thank you all very much for joining me today. Thank you all very much. I'll be back tomorrow when we're going to talk about how to pitch yourself, like how to communicate your personal value to other people in a way that actually is going to hit. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Keaton.
Great gibberish in the chat, guys.
Oh, thank you.
We can stay a couple more minutes here for a couple questions if you guys have them.
Yeah, and I'll put in my LinkedIn and my IG, my Instagram in the bottom here, but if anyone has questions, I'm here. Nobody. Excellent.
Oh, no, we got it. We got a question. Justin, go ahead.
So one question I have is that like a lot of your public speaking hacks from your workshop back in February are really useful for virtual DECA this year because the judge wasn't actually there and therefore they couldn't ask questions, so they're just listening. But if we transition to in-person next year and there's a judge sitting in front of you and you ask a question, how do you make that not awkward? Because they're instructed not to respond or do anything.
Yeah, so everybody, the question, Justin, it's a very valid question, right? It's a very valid question where you say, if I'm in an in-person situation at DECA and the judge is not allowed to talk to me, they're just allowed to listen, and I ask rhetorical questions, isn't that going to be weird? So what we do, and exactly, because imagine you said, so what can we do about it? And you just stare at the person. They'll go like, I can't do, like they'll probably do that. And now here's the fine balance in terms of the waiting. Here's all you need to do to make it effective in the in-person. Wait 1 second instead of 2. So what can we do about it? There's a few things that I really want to show you, and then you keep going. Because every time you ask a rhetorical question, it's gonna get them. So you just don't give them a chance to respond. You kind of have that beautiful little 1 second of like, which one of these 3 things should we choose? Let me show you. And then you keep going. It's different than saying, which one of these things should we choose? And then that's when it becomes weird. Exactly, right? Prithvi, you saw that, right? Then it becomes a little weird, right? But if I say, so the next question we need to ask ourselves is, which one of these should we choose? 1 second. We decided to do a cost benefit for each one of these. And then you keep going. Does that help you, sir? Justin, does that help?
I didn't realize you were talking to me. Yeah, it does help. I have one more question though, because one thing I like to do in the virtual deck is actually start off the presentation by asking a rhetorical question.
Love it.
But like if it was in person, and you just start off and you ask a rhetorical question like, have you ever been to this restaurant? Or like, what is your favorite restaurant? And they like, how would you make that not weird and not be like a sort of rough transition into your...
Justin, it's great to meet you today. Before I introduce my presentation and my analysis for you, I just have a rhetorical question I want you to think about. See what I did?
Okay, yeah, that's definitely useful. Okay, I'll make sure to make a note of that.
Yeah. And listen, you can use either one of those tactics. You can say, I have a rhetorical question for you. You don't have to worry about answering, and then keep going. Or you can say, I'm going to ask a question. I just want you to think about it. When was the last time you were in a meeting and you weren't bored? That's what my analysis is getting to today. For example, you see what I did? Tell them it's rhetorical. I'll say, I just want you to think about this. Yeah? Cool. Anyone else have any other questions for me?
Like, the one thing about in-person DECA is that it's hard to like balance the line between being formal, which are worth quite a few points, and also being original and asking rhetorical questions. How would you kind of stay the line between being overly informal but still being interesting?
So the question is from Parth was like, how do we balance trying to be engaging with also trying to be professional? Like, if we come in there, be like, what's up, homie? You're like, that's it. I'm never going to DECA ever again. But if I come in there going like, good evening, sir, then they're going to be like, well, this kid's super fake. So how do we judge? Where do we find that balance? And Parth, let me answer that question in 2 ways, okay? Way number 1, everything I showed you is a tool that you use. It's not like a light switch on or off. It's like a dimmer. You use to the extent you want. When I started really doing rhetorical questions, a lot of my presentations, I used to just put 1 or 2 in like a 15, 20-minute presentation. Nowadays, I put them every few sentences because I've gotten so comfortable with them and I can deliver them in my way. The first time you have to speak, if you don't feel comfortable, you're like, there's a lot of questions here, take half of them out. It's a tool, not a rule, okay? The second thing you have to think about is this. The line between formality and being genuine is more of like a zone, not a line. So let me give you a couple of quick things you can do. Number 1, just don't use you guys. Just don't use you guys. That's such a pet peeve for so many people. I have no idea why, but it's a huge pet peeve. If you take that out, so you guys know that it's important to consider what our customers want versus it's important to consider what our customers want. Boom. Just by itself is fine. Here's the last thing I will tell you. We do like a half day thing at Lang in terms for the DECA stuff, but can you see this? Parth, do you see that? Do you have any calluses? Does anyone have any calluses?
Not that
Yeah.
bad, no.
No, not that. It's not that bad. Olivia's like, yep. You do gymnastics, Olivia? Are you a CrossFit girl?
No, I used to hold my pencil really horribly and on my one thumb.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Because it is a zone and not a line formality, you have to get really good at gauging. But how do you get good at gauging formality? You have to build calluses to your nervousness. Because the reason you're way too formal is because you're nervous and you memorize what to say word for word. So here's how you build calluses. Parth, when you are practicing DECA, for all of you, when you are practicing DECA, you have to practice in front of different people, not at home alone by yourself. And I guarantee you this will happen. If you do one in front of me, Parth, you're going to get super nervous and you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And then you're going to, oh my gosh, I sound terrible. You're going to have all those guesses that you have when you do it for real. And then you do it with me 5 times, and guess what? It stops bugging you, and you find that zone. Then all of a sudden, you go and you talk to Olivia, and then you're nervous again because Olivia's like, all right, here you go. And you're like, The more people you practice in front of, the more you practice these tactics in front of people, the more calluses you'll build to nervousness, and the nervousness will not affect your delivery, and you won't come across as inauthentic. I'll tell you one last thing. Some of you may or may not know this, but I'm also a professional actor, and I'm currently just finished wrapping up it's coming, I think I can talk about it now. Far Cry 6. I'm going to be in a bunch of voices. If any of you guys know the Xbox on Far Cry 6. I'm like all the background. I'm all the gorillas. You'll find out, okay? So the way I practiced, because I knew I was going to be nervous and I wanted to come across as natural without kind of fudging up, messing up the words, is I walked to the studio an hour and a half away doing my lines out loud in public. Not loud, but just I'd talk to myself and I'd be like, hey, get me out of here. Hey, get me out of here. Come on, man, get me out of here. And every time someone walked by, I was like, oh my God, they think I'm crazy. But that self-consciousness is what I felt when I had to do it for real. But that hour and a half walk gave me calluses. So I felt it, but it did not affect me. And I came across as sincere. So that's a very long-winded way to say how you can prepare to find that balance so you can come across natural. Practice with the stress of being watched in front of people or outdoors.
Awesome, Yvonne. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Thank you very much for coming, everybody. And hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow.
So guys, just a quick reminder, there are 2 presentations right after this at noon. One is the pitch with Chloe, and the other is the CPA designation and its opportunities with Levine. Levine's an excellent speaker. I've met him before, so these presentations should be great for you guys.
Where's Levine from?
I'm not sure where he's from.
Is he?
He's a CPA representative.
I think I might have known him.
You can attend the workshop and find out.
Maybe I'll find it.
All right, guys. So great questions from the ones who asked. Yvonne has his final workshop tomorrow at 11 a.m. and it is pitching yourself with why statements. So if you guys enjoy Yvonne's presentations, which I know I do.
You have to say that, bro. You hired me. I'm just kidding. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And he has that tomorrow at 11. So we'll see you guys there and enjoy the rest of your workshops.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
Great work, Yvonne.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. It was a very informative presentation.
Akash.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thanks, gang. Thank you so much.